The Adam and Dr. Drew Show.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. Get on. Dr. Drew's board for 5 seasons. What's going on out there, Drewski?
Everybody wants to hear my thoughts on Rob Reiner and that catastrophe. You want to get into it a little bit?
Sure.
Let's see. This is, it's. Most people are aware what happened, and yet no one seems to be able to make sense of what happened, which is exactly the point. That when people are on drugs or coming off drugs, they're to understand what they're doing, thinking, saying, behaving rationally is a gigantic mistake. Right?
Yeah. Look, as humans, we do that with dogs. You know, we go, listen, I'm your friend. I'm not trying to hurt you.
What is he thinking? He bit me.
I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
Like they don't. We do that with everything.
Yeah.
We don't really get we do that with terrorists, and we do it with dogs, and we do it with drug addicts. Like if they just understood we're here to help, then they wouldn't blow us up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we get into big trouble with that.
Yeah, and
it literally gets people killed.
Well, one of the first, yes. And it doesn't help people either if you're trying to help them to do that. And one of the first lessons I learned working in a psychiatric hospital for all those years, early on, I thought, do not assume that other people's brains work like yours does. Do not make that assumption.
I have that trouble with women.
Well, their brains don't work like yours does.
I'm talking about work at all. Not just like mine. You don't have to work like mine. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, it's a huge mistake to superimpose your thinking on someone else's brain function. And so let's start with that. Then this kid has had multiple treatments, which is not uncommon. And there's this whole story that's kind of interesting. I spoke to a guy yesterday who knew, why am I blocking on the son's name? Help me, anybody?
Nick
Reiner, yeah. And he had done some podcasting with him. It's a guy named Dopey Dave that does the Dopey podcast. He was actually thinking about bringing Nick on as a co-host. He sort of liked him that much. But one of the things we both sort of started chatting about was how Rob Reiner's way of dealing with his son's illness was to make a movie about his son, right? Which it puts in a huge burden on the addict who's already feeling immense amount of guilt and shame to live up to this movie and what the father has portrayed him as, which of course they can't do.
Well, do we know that was initiated by Rob Reiner?
The movie?
Yeah.
I mean, did the kid initiate it? What do you mean?
Yeah. I don't know. Rob Reiner went to his kid and said, I want to make a movie about you.
Yeah. I saw them in interviews. Maybe I'm getting this wrong, but
no. I mean, who wrote the script? Like, I asked. I don't know that it's Rob Reiner's idea to make the movie about the kid. The kid could have wanted to make a movie.
It's possible.
Nick,
it's possible.
And then recruited his. I mean, oftentimes, it depends.
Yeah.
Look, oftentimes famous director dads, when they do a project with their kid, it's their kid's idea because
100%.
the dad's off to bigger and better things.
Yes,
so
100%.
I don't know that he initiated it.
Yes, that could be. Can you guys help us with that? I don't know if that information is out there.
From what I can tell, Rob Reiner did initiate it because Nick did not write it by himself. He had a co-writer on it with him. Rob directed the film and produced it.
Nick wrote it.
Nick co-wrote it.
Co-wrote it.
So who knows?
But that doesn't mean Rob Reiner
started it.
It. But anyway.
So who knows?
So he made a film with his son.
Yeah. I just saw the discomfort in the kid later in the interviews. I think he was already using it, already relapsed, and that's what we're seeing there. And may the kid set himself up for it. That's certainly possible. But there's another piece in here, too, where there's, during the promotion for that film, you see Rob, and this, by the way, Rob Reiner, let's all agree, good guy, great guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he may not have agreed with you, Adam, you may not agree with things he said, does not deserve at all what happened here.
All right, you don't have to give the precursor all the time.
Well,
look, there are guys you disagree with and they're douchey. Mm-hmm. And then there are guys you disagree with, and they're nice people.
Yeah.
He was a nice person.
Yeah. And a super talented person and stuff. And
yeah.
So, in any event, I saw him in an interview saying, I should never have listened to professionals. My parenting, I know my son better than anybody. My instincts, I should have followed my instincts. And I thought, that's how you get yourself into trouble. Because people don't get that because it's such a profound motivational disturbance, that the child or any individual that you are involved with will pull you into the condition. Even me as a doctor, when they come to me for help, I get spun into their disease, which is why I always kept a nurse in the room with me, not because I was worried about getting accused of something, but because she would kick me in the chair if she heard me sort of going into their bullshit, like believing stuff, co-signing stuff. That, and that's why you have to have a sponsor in codependency treatment who you check in with every time you deal with your kid. I know it's all horrible and cumbersome, but you got to check in with somebody who knows this condition and go, hey, did I say this right? Was I wrong here? What did I get wrong? How do I correct that? Because on your own, you won't see it and you'll get sucked in. And that's that. And that, I think...
Well, I mean, he went to rehab 17 times.
Bob Forrest went to rehab 22 times.
Really?
Yeah. It's not uncommon at all for people who need multiple treatments.
I think in Rob's, in terms of his statement about the experts, when you do 17 times with the experts, then at a certain point you get the idea that maybe the experts aren't as adept at this, or maybe. Well, first off, it's hard to fail more than 17 times. I know you can, but what I'm saying is if I took my car and have the transmission fixed 17 times to the dealer, at some point I'd go, well, maybe I should fix it myself, or I'll try. I don't think that'd be an unwarranted conclusion.
I will tell you what happens, though, every time you, continuing the transmission metaphor, every time you bring it in, you go, no, let's deal with those belts later. No, don't worry about the exhaust. And the guy's like, it's gonna blow. You got to, no. There's always these.
Well, I don't know how to fix a transmission. That's probably your biggest argument for me.
Meaning you should listen to me about the transmission.
Well, I've tried you 17 times. Now I'm going to try myself, but I don't know how to fix a transmission either.
Right.
So let
me add the score up of things that people routinely don't do that they must do, or the identified kid can die. We're talking about meth, heroin here, particularly, or fentanyl, whatever. If they get arrested, make sure they go to prison. And if they are doing illegal things, make sure they get arrested, and then make sure they go to prison. Okay, they never do that. No one ever does that.
Well, look,
and in California, it's hard to do that. They don't put them in prison for anything.
The reality is, they are not. If they're okay, if you are out and you have resources, and you're going to find a way.
To get treatment or to use?
To use if you're out.
Yeah. Correct.
And, it needs, we don't like incarcerating people, and we don't like incarcerating people because of drugs, but it will save their life.
Right.
Because they can't access the drugs. Right. And
well, not just that, because loss becomes the primary motivator. Right.
Well, I'm just saying from just a physical standpoint. Look, we could put you in a cage in the living room and it would work.
That's right.
We'll feed you breakfast bars and Gatorade, and we'll put a latrine there, and you'll sit in a cage in the living room.
There was shit like that going on in Mexico for a while, where parents were doing that.
And I mean, it would work. It would be, it'd be, it'd be miserable and all that kind of good stuff. But I mean, the reality is prison has cleaned up a lot of people. And I would argue that the low income nobodies, now not in New York City and not in Los Angeles, but if you were in Indiana or Kentucky or whatever, and you're just a low-level nothing person with no money, and you get caught up with drugs, you end up going to prison, and then you end up getting sober because you went to prison. Now, if you're in Manhattan or Los Angeles, there's a revolving door, so you don't do that. And if your dad's famous and has a lot of money, then you don't do that. But it's probably, if you're some kind of white trash with no family income, and you're in a red state that doesn't tolerate that shit, hey man, then you go somewhere and then you end up getting clean.
One of the teen moms got in that mess. She was dying of fentanyl addiction in Indiana. And they put her in long-term and put her in a long-term program while she was there. She ended up being a peer counselor. It was magnificent. It was a year and a half, couple of years, and it was like, this is how you do it.
Right.
This is how you do it.
But letting them languish on the streets or in a guest house is not really the answer.
Correct. But it's important for people to know, and this is the point I'm trying to make, is that one of the things that breaks through denial, one of the ways to break through that disturbance of motivation that is drug addiction is loss. Mm-hmm. And the things that get lost that catch the attention, not always, but often catch the attention of addicts, is loss of life. Like they have a near-death experience. So loss of health, loss of life. Loss of, for women particularly, their children. Mm-hmm. Then, oh shit, I got to get something together. Mm-hmm. Loss of important family members, spouses, that kind of thing. Loss of access to your kids, if you're a man. That gets them. And then loss of freedom. Mm-hmm. It's not just that they're cleaning up in prison. It's that they're like, they don't like the loss of freedom, and it makes them think, maybe I should do something different. I've got a friend of mine who's a long-term recovering, he's a magnificent nurse now and a nurse practitioner stuff. He was a nurse administrator, and he was a primary cocaine, he was a garbage bag kind of thing. And but he trafficked in cocaine in Newport Beach, of all things. And he kept going in prison, getting arrested. He was on one of these street corners, up by not Fashion Island, but South Coast Plaza. And every time you get in prison, you go, I must have been in the wrong corner. So he kept changing corners. And then the last time he got arrested, he's like, oh man, something is really wrong. What is wrong with me? Oh, I know. I keep the cocaine in my shirt pocket. I got to put it in my socks. Mm-hmm. That's the thinking of drug addiction, right? Mm-hmm. And then finally it did get through to him, finally, after multiple arrests. And it took somebody reaching out their hand, somebody kind going, you tired of this? You tired yet? You tired of this? And he went, yeah, I'm tired. Well, let us show you a different way. And that's how people get well, is how they get well. And it's hard to watch, and it's dangerous. That's the other part, which is how do you keep somebody safe through all that? And of course, the addict plays that up on the parent, particularly the mom. They will say constantly, the mom believes the child will die if the mom doesn't do something. Mm-hmm. That is the main play of the child with alcohol and addiction. They play on the mom more than the dad, and then they create conflict between the mom and the dad. If the dad is
easy, they go to the mom, right?
Yeah, and the mom's like, oh, he's going to die. He's going to die. He says he's going to commit suicide. So there we go.
But suicide, if what though?
They'll use death all over the place. But
what's the mom going to do for him in this scenario?
We got to bring him home. We got to put him in his room. We got to.
Oh yeah.
He's out on the streets. What are we going to do?
Nick was out on the street for long periods of time.
I know. So somehow they did get the message, or Nick just blew out. So I don't know. I don't know what was happening there.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Be right back with more after this. Mint Mobile. Well, nothing can ruin the season of giving spirit like checking your phone bill and going, why is this thing so high? Luckily, right now, all of Mint Mobile's unlimited plans are 50% off. You can get a 3, 6, or 12-month unlimited plan for just $15 a month. This is what phone service should cost, not whatever mystery number your carrier decided on. It's a phone plan that just makes sense, which is rare. Am I right, Daphne?
Turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings future by switching to Mint. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/ADS. That's mintmobile.com/ADS. Limited time offer. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. 35 gigabytes may slow down when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com.
So it's a complicated matter, and do not blame two things I hate: blaming the parents. Do not blame the parents. We're not blaming the parents. We're just sort of using this case as something to learn from. And I hate it when people blame the patients too for everything. That drives me crazy. When people have mental health problems, they go, "Well, he wasn't motivated. He didn't want to get well." It's like, no, that's part of the problem. That's part of the disease.
What drug? What is his drug?
Well, we know that opiates, mostly long term, this is the story of opiates. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to posit that I smell meth in the play here
because of the violence.
The violence and the knives. All the machetes you see out on the street of Los Angeles, people carrying machetes and going after people. That's meth. Always. So the violence and the picking up an object, particularly sharp objects, that seems to be meth most of the time. And meth, I'm going to say he won't remember this. He doesn't even know he did it, I bet you. And that's not him lying. They get in these fugue states on meth where they don't know what the hell's going on. Yeah, they just get disorganized and black out or red out or just don't even know. It's awful. It's awful.
And the daughter went and discovered it. 28-year-old daughter.
Oh, was she the one that discovered it?
Yeah.
And she was very close to Rob, too, it looked like to me.
Well, she went in, according to latest reports, she went in to do like a wellness check. And by the way, they must have been close because if my sister stabbed my mom and my dad, I might not know for months. It's not like I call them every morning.
They're not checking in with the grandkids.
My dad said he was buying me a dirt bike. Where is it? No, I mean, your adult relationship with your kids, and it's got some range, but she was checking in, like pretty much seemed like on a daily basis, right? And so she must have been very close to go over there. I mean, if I called my parents on a Sunday morning, they didn't pick up the phone, I'd think they were walking or something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't head over.
I saw her.
Knew. She also knew that Nick was dangerous because I don't say she knew this was coming, but she suspected. Well, she immediately called him out. So when they found out. When the cops showed up, she was like, go find my brother. So she must have had some inkling that he was capable of something or that they were in. I don't think she felt comfortable with him living in the house because she felt like he posed a danger. She must have known something. She must have heard something, seen something. She's her sister. So she went over there. She lived across the street from her parents. And the thing that was weird is I heard that she discovered Rob and then just ran out of the house.
Well, sure.
But no, the only reason I'm saying that is where was the mom? Presumably, if they got stabbed in the middle of the night, they would presumably be in the same bed. And you would walk in and you would see two people, and then you would run out. So,
or you wonder if Rob, muscled through, went after him or something.
Yeah, something staggered to his feet and crawled down the hallway or something.
Exactly. Horrible. Beyond,
Drew.
Beyond, yeah.
So, I know they had a big argument at Conan O'Brien's house before then.
Bill Hader was involved with that or something, right? Was that who it was?
Yeah, I ran into him at the Lakers game a few weeks ago. He was a very delightful guy, so I'm not going to put this on Bill.
No. There's no fault, I don't think, here anywhere. I mean...
Well, there's no fault for anybody who... was at a party and told someone to be quiet, let me finish my story or something like that. Obviously, that's not a thing. So weird a little bit that he came to the party.
Well,
because I have friends that, aren't good at parties. and I figured that out. And I've avoided them showing up to parties.
Yes.
Especially if the person's notable and the group is notable. That's going to be an environment where that person is not going to do well.
Yeah. Well, the report is that Rob brought him, quote, keep an eye on him. Unquote. Oh. And keeping an eye on someone with addiction is never a good thing, whether it's a sober partner or a parent or whatever. It just suggests things are not going well at all.
Yeah, well, so evidently things weren't going well, and evidently leaving him alone in the house was probably not something that Rob and his wife wanted to do.
And then there's one last sort of wrinkle in this whole story, which is that you keep hearing there's mental health problems. Well, sure. Anybody that does, he did about a bunch of hallucinogens early, apparently. Mm-hmm. And that causes mental health problems of all varieties. And he was doing meth, which also causes manias and psychoses and actually destroys parts of the brain, mood disturbances of all types. So yeah, I'm sure he had mental health problems, but the primary thing was the addiction, and the mental health problems probably all stem from that. However, the kinds of mental health problems that people can get into with drugs can be associated with severe delusions, where you believe your parents are trying to kill you, or you have to kill your parents so the devil doesn't get them, or who knows what. So that happens also.
Yeah. So what do you think? They're going for the death penalty.
I think that's an overreach. I think it's a mistake. I don't think they're going to get that. Yeah. Because there's so many confounding things here. Just come on. I mean, unless he has said repeatedly while sober, I need to kill my parents, which I don't know if anybody said that or heard that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's just going to end up with the Menendai.
And here's the other thing I want people to take home. If they had allowed him to get arrested and spend a couple of years in prison, he would not be spending the rest of his life in prison. He would have spent a couple of years there, and that would be that. The other thing, and this is the last thing, is that the way situations like this need to be treated is they have to go inpatient, get stabilized. They have to go to residential for a couple months and make sure they're doing okay. And then they need to go to a long-term structured environment. This is how RFK Jr. got sober. He was in a work farm for, I think he said 2 years. And those are like $500 a month. So
a work farm.
Yeah. And you work there, and you have meetings, you have sober peers and stuff. And you get vocational rehab, hopefully, so you can start to make a productive life again afterwards. But you need to be there for a long time. It takes a long time for the brain mechanisms to settle down and for sobriety to kick in. It's not a 30-day thing. You won't even remember the first 3 months 9 times out of 10. So to put a bunch of money and effort into the early parts of treatment is anathema. It makes no sense. Mm-hmm. And so just a general principle, if you're spending a lot of money, don't go there. It shouldn't cost a lot of money. You should go somewhere that's bare bones, that's willing to take the patient for a long period of time, that doesn't put up with any bullshit, that has a lot of experience with this particular drug of abuse, and there you go. You just go in there and you find ways to leverage it and keep them there.
Words of wisdom from Dr. Drew.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to be at the Sagebrush Cantina tomorrow night with Brad Williams. It's bring your ugly sweater, by the way. We'll have a competition. And then over the weekend, I'll be at Kimball's Club in Las Vegas. 4 shows. Go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows. What do you got, Drew?
We do a show Tuesday and Thursday at 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock Pacific time on Wednesday. And check out something really interesting. Yesterday, like I said, I spoke to a guy who does a podcast, Nick. And we'd have good interviews, interesting people there. And I suggest it most how you guys will like it. The easiest way to get it is look for the blast on X and just click on that.
So, till next time, Adam Carolla for Dr. saying mahalo. Thanks for tuning into the Adam Carolla Show. You can watch the full show on YouTube. Just search Adam Carolla Show and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can also get the podcast wherever you like to listen. And for extra content, ad-free episodes, and more, you can head over to our Substack and sign up today.
What is the mystique about beating the other guy, about winning? Whatever it is, it's a mystique that's held in high reverence by people in racing.
March 22nd, join the Adam Carolla Show for a live podcast celebrating the legendary racing legacy of Paul Newman.
You can drive hard, and you're not going to win any races. The only way that you're ever going to win a race is just to be right on the edge of it all the time.
Come see Adam Carolla's collection of Paul Newman's championship-winning race cars, authentic race memorabilia, special guest interviews, and an audience Q&A.
If you see anything, kid, you let us know.
Sunday, March 22nd at 1 p.m. at the Jordan Family Event Center in Orange County.
If they put you on the spot, we got to fold the con.
VIP packages are available with early access, meet and greet, and premium seating.
Take it easy, kid. We're not going to lose him now. We had him 10 years ago when he decided to be somebody.
The Adam Carolla Show celebrates the Paul Newman Race Car Collection.
Yeah, fine.
Sunday, March 22nd at the Jordan Family Event Center. Get your tickets now at adamcarolla.com.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice. They're going to mandate you get it on. Welcome to the star of Down Periscope, Rob Schneider.
Yeah, man. Oh, come on. That was a fun one, man. That's back when you could make movies that were fun. I mean, I literally
saw it in the theater. No, I know exactly where I was.
Yeah?
Yeah. Saw it alone. Saw it in the theater. Was working for K-Rock. I started doing like movie reviews. And that movie must have been late 94, early 95.
95, yeah.
95.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I never want to go to a movie alone, but when you review movies, you just have to go alone because you got a job to do. And you kind of, you get more out of them. You kind of remember more.
I think so. You know, I remember like the first show I had to go
Grammer.
see. I had to go see Meaning of Life because Monty Python. Yeah, I had to
Right.
go. And there was only 2 people at the 12 o'clock show in San Francisco on the Friday to see it, and it was me and the guy laughing in the very last row. It was like, and I went, oh, that's Robin back there.
Oh, really?
So it was Robin like, you know, at the 11:30 a.m. show.
What were you doing back then?
Okay, this must have been 82. So, I mean, literally at 16, I remember at 15, I told my dad, I said, you know, there's a comedy club in San Francisco, and they'll let anybody on Monday nights if you sign up. And he said 2 words, let's go.
Really?
And so he took me there, and I had like my trombone. You know, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, you know, it's just embarrassing having, you know, for drunk people to be around children. But then I knew, I said, okay, all right, I'm too young for this. But at 16, I started to go a little bit more, 17, 8. By the time I was, you know, 18, 19, I was in.
And your dad was supportive.
My mom thought I was a loser because she was a teacher. Robert, what do you need something to fall back on? What if this doesn't work out, Robert? I don't know anyone who does it. But my dad, he loved comedy. He had comedy albums.
It's kind of weird because immigrant moms and or dads come here thinking you've got to focus on education. You've got to get a nice job as a dental assistant or a nurse or something. And what they don't really realize is they're missing the whole essence of what the United States is. Like, no, you go to your country to be a nurse. You come here to be a comedian, a dancer.
That's the thing. It was so
transsexual. Like, you come here to realize your dreams, not to do shit in a uniform.
Your parents came here to give you the opportunity to do what you wanted to do.
Right.
Because like the Koreans were the ones that were the most frustrated, I felt like, more than the Filipinos. Because the Filipinos are more open because they assimilated and they knew English back in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. And so the Koreans were the ones who came over here who worked 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. And then they have the relatives come and stay for years. I remember I had friends of mine, they lived, because we had relatives coming in from Manila. They would stay for a few months, 6 months the most. Uh-huh. Then they get their own place. There they had their relatives, their first cousins, stay for 10 years. So that was a sacrifice. And then they open up their own Kentucky Fried Chicken or a dry cleaner. And then the kids don't have the same work ethic, and it drives them nuts. The parents.
Right. The kids, I mean, the work ethic, man.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids, how would one develop a motor if one did not need a motor? Like, if you have to really break it down, it's not even their fault. It's literally like, you know, you may blame this community for taking free money from the government, but you set that up, and now you're enticing them, and you're like, why are you having kids out of wedlock? Because I get paid because you enticed me to do this. You incentivized me to do this. So, you know, I mean, the kids of the celebrity, the kids of the celebrities are always a big fat disappointment. And by the biggest disappointment is when 2 celebrities shit out a kid. And now you're like, oh.
That's why, like, when I think of
Brinkley and Billy Joel, and that's all we got.
That's why I think, when I think of the Somalians coming here and stealing from us, I think of what an amazing country this is where somebody can come and do that. Because they're just trying to survive over there in Somalia, but they know if they can get here to Minnesota, probably the dumbest of any state,
Yes.
the most gullible of all people. Oh yeah, okay, sure, you can come do that. And why wouldn't they try to take every dime and every penny from these stupid people?
Well, also, how rich a country must you be in order for people to embezzle billions of dollars and we don't notice it? Like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that's success.
If your daughter is ordering Nobu on Grubhub 3 times a day and you don't notice it, it means you're fucking rich. Like, good news is we must be rich because we somehow can take millions of dollars and just chuck it out of a window and nobody knows and nobody cares.
Right. I mean, and if it wasn't discovered, it would have kept going on, and it really wouldn't have made that big a difference.
No, I agree. It is funny when they get angry at the people who discovered it. I enjoy that.
When you see them at the airport and they have 800,000, that was my money. No, I took this. No, I earned this money. I stole it properly from you stupid people here in Minnesota.
They are bringing suitcases with millions of dollars in it out of the airport in Minneapolis constantly for years. And nobody said anything. A few people said a few things, but they didn't listen because their constituency is that group.
Yeah.
This whole thing of like, let's not anger the criminals is kind of a weird, it's a weird position to be in. It's like, who votes for you? Illegals, criminals, felons, and people that are ripping off the government. All right, well, let's not anger them. Well, what would anger them? I don't know, enforcement of our laws? Okay, well, we're not getting on the wrong side of the people who vote for us.
What you're opening up is a chasm here, and what you're really saying is that there are people that this society is particularly susceptible to bad faith actors, for people to come in without the best intentions and to abuse the system that has afforded them these incredible freedoms and luxuries. I mean, the thing about this country is, if you get in, whew, you are lucky. If you become an American citizen, it is incredible. However, if you come in with the bad intentions, or you come in here and you realize there's a system that you could really corrupt and that could be corrupted to benefit you, but it doesn't seem that difficult. These don't seem to be like highly educated people who are able to figure out the system.
Right. Yes, it ain't Tom Cruise coming from the ceiling. On a wire. They're filling out forms. Well, I mean, when they go to these places, strip malls with 15 learning centers in the same building, and there's the place is a hospice, but it's a mop closet, and there's nobody ever there. Like it is all you would have to do. Yeah. Is put a very minimum amount of effort into discovering this stuff, and it's very accessible, like super easy. Like the guy who blew the lid off the whole thing, Nick. That guy doesn't even have 2 microphones. He has to hold a lab and then hold the other one. Like that guy went down to fucking Radio Shack and spent $28. He does not even have a second microphone. He has an iPhone 9 and 1 microphone that he clips off his lapel and then holds it at the guy. The guy probably thinks he's talking to a dead mouse or something. And that's it. He was able to undo the whole thing.
Yeah, and the career of Tim Walz collapsed right after that. Yeah, the Democratic Party just doesn't consider any repercussions or any downfall to just no matter what it takes, just to maintain power. And it really is. It's sad because you would think, because we only get 2 political parties, we don't get 10. You would think we would need 2 normal political parties, and truthfully, we don't have any. And the Democratic leadership to not come out and at least, that was the thing that really bothered me a lot, was when things were exposed during COVID, when the censorship regime, it said, yes, the government, the first thing, within the first 24 hours, they censored Bobby Kennedy. That was like the first thing Before they did anything, before they opened up the borders to allow millions of people, the first thing they did was to contact Mark Zuckerberg and Meta, and before Meta, and Facebook, and say, listen, you can't let this guy talk and blah, 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 and this, but you have to censor these people. Almost pretty much that bold. And when this is exposed, instead of the Democrats saying, you know what, that's wrong, we shouldn't do that, they were like, no, they just attacked the investigators, Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger, who just, had free reign to come up to whatever conclusions they wanted. And that was like, wow, they won't even admit it when it's in their face. It's the same thing like the Nazis at the end in the bunker with these imaginary armies that they say, well, Herr Hitler, we could have these troops come in. And of course, it was all lies at that point.
Right.
That's what I think the Democratic Party, it's all lies and subterfuge, and it's all... And they're just dealing with armies and things and unreality that just doesn't only exists in their head. And it's just, at what point do you continue to go, I'm going to keep following these guys because they know what they're doing?
Oh, I don't think anyone says because they know what they're doing. They just voted that way. And they're basically the same thing with voting Democrat as they are with COVID. Nobody has ever apologized.
Yeah.
And as I tweeted to somebody, they're like showing Deborah Marks or whoever it was who was lying about COVID. And they said they never punish anyone. I said the only people that ever got punished were the ones who called out the liars. They got punished. Nobody else has been punished. They're not great at admitting they were wrong about stuff. And the problem with apologizing for COVID is once you start realizing maybe I was wrong about something that's huge, well, then maybe you're wrong about other stuff. Maybe you're wrong about Trump, and maybe you're wrong about Pete Hegseth, or like maybe you're wrong about Kennedy Jr. Once you open the door to you being wrong,
it's a house of cards. It all collapses.
Well, it can. Or you can be wrong in a vacuum, or there could be a whole bunch of shit you're wrong about.
That's what has to happen, though. The house of cards has to collapse because there's been no correction from the Democrats. There's been no correction. There's been, of course, no one prosecuted. There's been no one even brought up on criminal charges for any of this stuff. And what has to happen is you have to have what I think could happen now. The last time we had three presidents that did not have successive terms. If you think about that. You go from Nixon, didn't complete his second term, and then Ford, Carter. Mm-hmm. Those are three.
One single term.
Right. And then what did it lead to? You had two Reagans and one Bush. So here's what we had. You have a Trump, Biden, Trump. And if history does anything, it likes to repeat itself. So I think you could have the back end of that, which is one Trump, two Vances, or hopefully Rubio. And then there's going to have to be a real course correction. Because when the Democrats do get their asses kicked enough, then they go, you know what? We are the pro-death penalty.
Right.
Remember, they're like, these are super predators. We need to go after them. We are pro-death penalty Democrats, and they had to adjust. And the only reason really Clinton even won is because of the third party candidate Ross Perot.
Yeah, well, the thing that I always find super interesting is when people flip flop on a subject as an adult. Like, I mean, the joke I always kind of make is Joe Biden, there's stuff from him from the 90s or 2001 saying no gay marriage or super predators or, whatever, take these drug dealers and lock them up and throw away a key. And then I always go, you have to understand he was a fresh-faced, bright-eyed 62-year-old, like at the time, because it's true. Like, you could be wrong about shit
naive.
You were in college, right? You're so young, so naive, such an idealist, fresh. I mean, honestly, it's one thing to go, look, when I was 19, I smoked a lot of pot, and I was a big Fidel Castro fan, and I got the Che Guevara shirt, and I was kind of fucking out of my mind, and now I look back, and I'm like kind of embarrassed. Now I'm in my 40s, and I look back. Yeah. These guys, Kamala Harris is flip-flopping on shit she did in her early 50s.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Remember Dennis Haysbert? He got caught. This is during the Clinton fiasco when he was brought up for impeachment charges for lying, about the intern. Dennis Haysbert, he got exposed for cheating, the former Speaker of the House, Republican, and he said, "It's something I did in my youth. I was
Right.
41.
Right.
My youth.
Right.
I was
Right.
barely a child, just out of college by 20 years."
Right. So it is. I'm always dubious when somebody changes their mind about something when they're fully formed adults.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, what do you think you've changed your mind on, if anything, as an adult?
Wow. I think realizing that that everything is captured. Mm-hmm. There's a captured media. And yet, I'm talking, our media is obviously captured. Our government is captured by industry. And our political parties, the two political parties, are completely captured. And this was the medical pharma just owns the biggest, I've learned that through the years. They're the biggest contributors to not just federal politicians, but state politicians. Everything's captured. And yet, we're the freest country in the world. Can you imagine a country that has no freedoms at all? At least we can talk about it, and thankfully for a freedom of speech, we do have a chance to redress our grievances. However, here you have something like, why can't we get, when 84% of the American public wants to put the Save America Act, which is basically only Americans can vote, and they even a Republican-controlled Congress can't get it through. So there's just nothing we can do at this point. You realize, but yet at the same time, this is still the greatest. Everything's captured. Universities are captured. The academia is nuts, and you have So, and yet this is the freest country. Can you imagine? Is that something new that's happened, or is this something that's always been and I just never noticed it?
I gotta believe it's newer, but always existed.
Yeah. Was it just exposed, though, because of COVID that you realized? Because during COVID, you realized everything's a lie. Everyone's lying. Everyone's in on it. And very few people at the time, you were one, were calling bullshit on this. But that's when you kind of realized, I think the veil was lifted and you saw the great Oz behind the curtain shifting the thumb.
Well, there are little indicators that'll be helpful. Like if people are listening and they're just trying to unearth the truth or find that sweet spot where the truth lies, there's a couple things. If you want to know who to believe and who not to believe, like if you have people sort of saying, if people are agnostic about things, like you say, did COVID originate in a wet market or in a lab? And someone goes, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, makes sense it was from a lab, since that lab experiments with those types of diseases or viruses, but maybe it came from a pangolin. I don't know. Then I would tend to believe that guy. Yeah. When that guy goes, listen, it definitely came from a lab, definitely came from a pangolin, and it came from a wet market, and it never came from a lab. And by the way, I want you thrown off the internet for even suggesting that it might have come from a lab. Now I don't trust that guy. Yeah. You guys knew ivermectin was horse paste or didn't work. You knew all this stuff immediately. How would you know? And how come more people weren't agnostic? And how come Sanjay Gupta would go, listen, I don't know, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, talk to your doctor. Yeah, right. Maybe we don't know. It's called a novel virus. How would we know if it works or not? Why don't you try it out? And by the way, it's both of them, ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine is safe. There's a lot of people that are on it. So go ahead and try it out. We never did. It was horse paste. So that's how you know that guy's lying, right? And when Fauci, you got to get I went on a tirade about Fauci when he had Jim Jordan questioning him about Black Lives Matter, and I just yelled to everyone. It was a weird thing. I just went, "This guy's corrupted. We don't need to listen to him anymore." Yeah. And everyone kind of looked at me and they went, "That's Dr. Fauci." And I said, "Yeah, but he's corrupted. Watch the tape. Watch the tape." And they went, "But he's why?" And I go, "Don't you see what I'm seeing? He's been corrupted. He's been adulterated."
Well, that's what happens. I think what you're talking about, first of all, I just remember when the NBC News guy, who's the guy, the black anchor that was on a few years back on NBC.
Yes, I'll think of it in a second.
But when Trump was meeting with Putin, And Trump made a statement.
Lester Holt,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When Trump made a statement, and then you cut back to Lester Holt, and this was something new that I had not seen before, where Lester Holt shook his head like, "Can you believe that crap?" It's like,
right.
Why are you tipping off the audience how to think? Lester Holt, they said, this is no longer objective news.
Right.
And that's when the objectivity in newscasts just fell off the cliff.
Right. So when you hear and see little things, like when they'll go, AOC says she spoke to the chupacabra. And then they'll go, Donald Trump falsely says the election was rigged. It's like, no. Donald Trump says the election was rigged. That's his statement.
Yeah.
You don't have to add the falsely, because the statement is the election was rigged, and the statement was, I spoke to the chupacabra. But you don't have to add falsely. That's her statement. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
So when they start adding the commentary, that's when you know.
But that's why, like, it's so egregious now that, like, CNN had to retract their statement from the other day when, two teenagers, I'm sure you must have talked about this, two teenagers stroll into Manhattan on a warm day, not knowing that.
Only to have their afternoon interrupted by chucking bombs.
Isn't that unbelievable? That is it. If you did that on Saturday Night Live, they go, okay, that's kind of a mildly funny sketch. But the fact that that's a news organization, and thankfully they got called out on it.
Oh, yeah, that's the New World Order. I have no idea why they're doing this to their business, though. Somebody has to get hold of these guys. Because it's not a business. I guess not.
For them, it's not a business. To me, it seems like trying to... For what you're describing about, like, people not being able to see that Fauci was a con man and a liar who'd managed to just survive and causing the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people during the AIDS epidemic, at least 100,000, is they weren't able to see it because, again, it's this people coming in with bad faith into, or whether it's a country like the United States coming into here to destroy this or steal as much as they can from a pirate culture like Somalia. And it is, if you listen to Ayaan Hirsi Ali, she'll tell you this is a pirate culture. And they're going to come in and take whatever they can because of, stupid people in Minnesota.
Here, I'll tell you another tell, and then I'll play this Fauci clip because you'll get it when you hear it. There's a couple of tells. It's not being agnostic. Like just literally going, I don't know if that medication will work. Try it. Talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know the origin of COVID. It makes sense it's from the lab, but I don't know. When they all of a sudden don't know stuff and they formerly knew everything. So it's like when they said to Fauci, what about natural immunity? It's like, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. It's like, oh, you don't know anything because you knew everything about this, but now you don't know anything.
Yeah,
now you're lying. So listen to him. What is this from, by the way? What year? I remember going to the airport after this and yelling at everyone in the car what was going on. But this is July 2020. And Fauci, this is early.
Yeah.
And this is Fauci being confused.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Fauci, do protests increase the spread of the virus?
Do protests increase the spread of the virus? I think I can make a general statement.
Well, 500,000 protesters on June 6th alone.
Yeah.
I'm just asking that number of people, does it increase the spread of the virus?
Crowding together, particularly when you're not wearing a mask, contributes to the spread of the virus.
Should we limit the protesting?
I'm not sure what you mean. How do we say limit?
Okay, first thing, I'm dumb. What do you mean? How do we limit? You shut down every church. You shut down every school. You shut down the beaches.
Yeah.
You shut everything down. What do you mean? How do we limit? You took bulldozers and you scooped sand into skate parks and you tore down the beach volleyball nets. You cut down the beach volleyball nets and you welded pipes over basketball hoops at the park.
And you covered nets around swing sets.
And you arrested a guy who was paddleboarding in the bay. So what do you mean, how do we police this? You do it by what you've just got done doing this, Fauci. But anyway, he's confused. Yeah. He's just a humble caveman lawyer.
And he said masked.
M-A-S-T. Yeah, I did say masked. It was funny. O'Reilly Auto Parts. What business are they in? They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. They offer friendly, helpful service and all the knowledge you need. If I can't figure something out, if I'm having an issue, it's always my first stop. They have thousands of parts in stock and can test your battery for free. Need wipers, brake light, or a quick fix? They get you the right part right away. And you can go online, but I like to go in the store. Everyone who works there is knowledgeable. They're friendly. They're professional parts people. And that's your one-stop shop if you're a DIY guy like I am. But you can go online or you can visit them in store. They're the same friendly, helpful people, and they'll have what you need. It is O'Reilly Auto Parts, right, Dawson?
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
Pluto TV has thousands of free movies and TV shows.
You swear?
If I'm lying, I'm dying.
This is the mindset.
Free.
This is the mantra.
Free.
This is the mindset.
With movies like Interstellar, Dreamgirls, and Gladiator.
Are you not entertained?
And TV shows like Survivor, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Fairly Odd Parents, and Ghosts. Pluto TV is always free. Huzzah! Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
I'm not sure what you mean. How do we say limit the protesting?
Should government limit the protesting?
I don't think that's relevant to.
Well,
you just said that it increased.
Well, it's not relevant. You just said groups were spreading this disease. You shut down schools and churches. You shut down restaurants and beaches. So what do you mean you don't know what he means?
Yeah. He wasn't briefed on this to what to say.
Right. Yes.
Well, you just said if it increases the spread of the virus, I'm just asking, should we limit it?
Well, I'm not in a position to determine what the government can do in a forceful way.
Oh, by the
Well,
way,
you make
that's
all kinds of
that's all he
recommendations.
does. All he's been doing is making proclamations about what you can do for Thanksgiving and what you can do. You know, go eat in your yard. You know what I mean? Use a T-shirt cannon to pass the potatoes to your grandmothers at the end of the table. Like, are you fucking nuts? So all of a sudden, he's in no position to give any advice on COVID safety.
I know, it's maddening, and it makes me so angry because my mother passed away during COVID in 1991 in January. And they said, and it was in California, of course, and they're like, no, well, you can't have.
Wait a minute, you just said 1991.
I'm sorry, 2000. I'm sorry, 2021.
Okay, good. Sorry for laughing. I thought it was a joke.
No, 2021, and that was hot COVID at the time, and they said
Right.
you can't have a funeral,
Right.
and I was like, fuck this.
Right.
We're having a funeral for my mother, and if people want to show up, we'll do it outside, but we're having one. And then you try to stop me. And that's what I told the funeral home, and that's what I told the cemetery we're having one. And if you're not going to provide the chairs, I'll bring my own chairs.
Right.
And if you don't want to provide anything, you don't have to provide anything. It's my mother, and I paid for that casket, and we're going to have it outside, and I'm going to have chairs, I'm going to have flowers, I'm going to have musicians, and we're going to have my mother exit this place in a beautiful way, as dignified as what is required for our loved ones. And the fact that they didn't want to have that, I had it anyway. But it was interesting because one of the weird flukes that happens in life is that I became friends with this guy, and I didn't say his name in the book because he worked. He's a brilliant doctor, Dr. David Klonoff, and I think I could say it now. He was working at NIH. One of the guys was working, hired by the government. He's a professor of medicine. And like I said, he didn't put it in the book. And he said, July 3rd, 2020. I said, what's going on really? Mm-hmm. This is 2020, early, around the same time, maybe a week or two before this. And he said to me, receptor 26 looks a little sticky, but don't quote me. Because he was saying that this is man-made, that this seems manipulated.
Yeah.
And that's his way of saying it. And, and I'm a layman. What do I know? But I knew enough to know that means it's man-made. And he said, don't quote me because what happened was if you told the truth back then, they'll ruin your career.
I know.
And that's why, David Klon, a great man, and at the time he knew that he couldn't, and, he's working for the government at the time and trying to figure this thing out. And then, but can you imagine, this is a guy, one of the most smartest guys. This is a guy who, the foremost leading authority on diabetes in the world. These guys helped design, artificial pancreas. This guy's a genius. Mm-hmm. And they're stifling geniuses. Yeah. This is where this asshole, Fauci, was at the top of this thing, squelching any truth coming out.
Oh, there's emails of him saying silence people. All right, well, listen, go back 10 seconds. But listen, this is July 2020. Listen to Fauci lying.
Protesting. Should government limit the protesting?
I don't think that's relevant to...
Well, you just said if it increases the spread of the virus, I'm just asking, should we limit it?
Well, I'm not in a position to determine what the government can do in a forceful way.
Well, you make all kinds of recommendations. You make comments on dating, on baseball, on everything you can imagine. I'm just asking, you just said that protests increase the spread. I'm just asking you, should we try to limit the protests?
No, I think I would leave that to people who have more of a position to do that. I can tell you...
Government stopping people from going to church, Dr. Fauci?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last week in the Calvary Chapel case, 5 liberals on the Supreme Court said it was okay for Nevada to limit church services. Justice Gorsuch said it best. He said, there's no world in which the Constitution permits Nevada to favor Caesar's Palace over Calvary Chapel. I'm just asking, is there a world where the Constitution says you can favor one First Amendment liberty, protesting,
by the way, can you
over
pause
another?
It for a second? I've said this a million times. I know it sounds a little convenient, but you go, look, Rob, you think this way, and Adam thinks the same way you think, and then this guy's on that side of the aisle, and everyone has their side, and
this
he's
isn't
a Democrat,
about sides.
it's fine. Right, but I'm going to say this. You can say whatever you want about Jim Jordan. He's fucking smart.
Yeah.
And he's asking questions. And then you go to the other side and you get Maisie Hirono. And she's like, Dr. Fauci, isn't it good? Do you like pineapple? I do. No fur. I yield my time. Like AOC, half the people on the left are fucking retarded.
Yeah,
like
they
you're
are.
having trouble forming sentences, and you can say whatever you want about Cotton or Jim Jordan or whoever these guys are, but they're fucking sharp.
Yes, and you know what? As a matter of fact, he's circling in literally like a very good attorney,
right?
Circling in to find the truth and to expose someone who's clearly lying and clearly being evasive. And inconsistent in his dogma.
Well, we'll continue on.
Miss Nevada to favor Caesar's Palace over Calvary Chapel. I'm just asking, is there a world where the Constitution says you can favor one First Amendment liberty, protesting, over another, practicing your faith?
I'm not favoring anybody over anybody. I'm just making a statement that's a broad statement that avoid crowds of any type, no matter where you are, because that leads to the acquisition and transmission. And I don't judge one crowd versus another crowd. When you're in a crowd, particularly if you're not wearing a mask.
He wouldn't say limit protests. So what do you mean you don't judge one crowd versus another crowd? You just did that. You would not judge the BLM protest. You were asked to, but you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
Favoring anybody over anybody. I'm just making a statement that's a broad statement that avoid crowds of any type, no matter where you are, because that leads to the acquisition and transmission. And I don't judge one crowd versus another crowd. When you're in a crowd, particularly if you're not wearing a mask, that induces the spread.
It's a simple question, doctor. Should we limit the protests? Government is obviously limiting people going to church. And look, there's been no violence that I can see at church. I haven't seen people during a church service go out and harm police officers or burn buildings. But we know that, for 63 days, 9 weeks, it's been happening in Portland.
Right. Yeah.
Well, one night in Chicago, 49 officers were injured. But no limit to protests. But boy, you can't go to church on Sunday.
I don't know how many times I can answer that. I'm not going to opine on limiting anything. I'm just going to tell you.
You've opined on a lot of things, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, but I've never
This
said
is something that
limit.
directly impacts the spread of the virus, and I'm asking your position on the protest.
Yeah, I'm not going to opine on limiting anything. I'm telling you what it is, the danger. And you can make your own conclusion about that. You should stay away from
By the way, hold on a second. If this guy wasn't corrupted and had a fucking shred of dignity and wasn't a liar, he would just go, Yeah, no Black Lives Matter rallies, and no Christian faith rallies, and no KKKs through marching in the street. No, any of it.
Right. Well,
the virus doesn't know if you're racist or you're pro BLM or you're gay. You have a gay flag. Yeah, it's all bad.
It was a political.
Just say it.
It was all politics with these assholes.
That whole point is he's covered because he's allowed to say, I will shut down the Pittsburgh Steelers bar, and I'll shut down the gay bar, and I'll shut down the church, and I'll shut down the liquor store. Like, I'll just, it's all bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a Raiders fan or a Rams fan, both games are canceled. Like, that's what he could have said, but he wouldn't do it. He circled and circled and circled, but he was so scared of getting into trouble with his BLM masters. Yeah. By the way, what the fuck's BLM have to do with COVID anyway? It has everything to do with COVID if you're corrupted like he was.
He was, but the idea was to take down Trump at that time. Anything to take down Trump, and that was part of it, and he was part of it. And he cornered Trump, and they all lied to him. It was Burks, and it was him, and it was Redfield, and they basically said, like, if you don't, 4 million Americans will die, and you'll be known as the plague president, blah, 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 if you don't shut down the country. And, and shutting down the country for 2 weeks was just, getting their toe in the door to tyranny. And they meant to keep it as long as they could keep it until everybody got the experimental gene therapy. And it's just it was one of those things that happened, but how do Democrats not see it? And the only way I could describe it is, I remember there's a story from Alan Watts. He was talking about the shaman, because there was something so outside of their ability when the conquistadors came to the New World that literally it was unimaginable to them. That's why I see the Democratic Party. It's unimaginable to see this gigantic corruption and these morons for what they are, and that the system is completely filled with lies. It's the same thing when the shaman had to come out and explain in the language of their own tribesmen to get them to visualize and see something as big as like this boat with these sails and these conquistadors. Because they couldn't imagine it.
Right. It's interesting. I love it when they tell both stories. So he's talking about shutting down all events and ball games and sporting events and churches and beaches, and then simultaneously saying, I have no opinion on a huge Black Lives rally.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's it. The thing that's going on now, which is kind of interesting, is it's been months and months and months of Trump is a rogue dictator. He doesn't answer anyone. He does whatever he wants. He runs roughshod over the Constitution, and he bullies everyone. And he just is a tyrannical dictator who dances to the beat of his own drum and does whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Now we're right into he's Netanyahu's puppet and he's Putin's puppet. So the same people that are explaining that he's a dictator that makes all his own rules is now explaining that Putin and Netanyahu have him by the short hairs and he's doing their bidding.
I know.
So which is it? Is he the guy who's doing their bidding, or is it the guy who's doing his own dictator stuff rogue?
I think it's the fact that they ignore evidence to the contrary. And that's how they proceed. Any evidence to the contrary, they just gently put aside, just like you saw with Fauci. It's the same ideology. It's continuing. Like, for instance, when Trump does want to put something through, if a district court judge stops it, he stops it.
Right.
And then Trump stops, and he waits until he works its way up to the next, whether it's the appellate court or the, hopefully, and then eventually the Supreme Court. He does wait. He does stop whatever is happening, whether it's that guy that they were kicking out of the country who was a human trafficker. He did stop, and then they kicked him out of the country.
He's a Maryland man, Rob. He's a man from Maryland.
And he was in the detentions, and then the court ordered him back into the country, so they flew him back, and of course, the Murphy, the moron senator from Connecticut, like he goes and has lunch with this human trafficker. It's just insane. I just don't know how crazier it could get if this wasn't a still somewhat free country.
Well, it is insane that every one of their heroes is essentially a criminal or an illegal. Like it really is. Like Michael Brown is a gentle giant. Hands up. That George Floyd, Kilmer, all these guys. Like, is there one fucking decent person that you guys can put up on a poster? Yeah, you've been pushed into this insane position where you have to defend. It'd be like me going, look, I'm a white guy. I'm Italian. I got to stand up for Joey Buttafuoco. And it's like, no, you don't. But I love cars. But you don't. But you don't have to stand up for the guy. They have to they're all in the rotunda taking a knee for George Floyd, the career criminal. You know what I mean? Like
drug addict,
yes, they got fucking duped into this stuff, and now it's insane, and they're in this weird position of having to defend illegal criminals now.
Yeah, that's all they've got. Well, that's what they have at this point. They had a perfect guy who's a police officer jumping over a fence. That's the guy that the Democrats can go, hey, he's our guy.
Right.
But they won't because, well, he's a Christian for one thing, and he's a police officer, and we need to defund the police officers, and God forbid, if he was a Muslim and he was a guy, who was also throwing one of the bombs, they could get behind it. I just don't know how you can not see it. I don't know how.
Well, I'll tell you a couple things.
Is it hypnosis of some
there's
sort?
There's a lot of stuff, and I'll tell you like little simple things. Yeah. Like you can talk. I've had this conversation with some of my more progressive friends. Mm-hmm. They go, well, it's actually, you know what? Rob Reiner sort of says it all on Bill Maher, the late, great Rob Reiner. And that's a clip we've shown a few times. But
what's the gist of it? I remember seeing it on your show.
Bill Maher was like, well, there's Hunter Biden's laptop. And, that turned out to be true. And Rob Reiner's like, we don't know that's true. And it's like, well, yeah, it's an article in the LA New York Times. He's like, I don't know it's true. Do you know it's true? Ask one of your progressive buddies about a white guy that got gunned down by cops, and they'll never know the story. They'll never be familiar with it. They'll never have heard of it. They don't know the guy's name. Yeah. They literally do not hear. A lot of it is they physically don't hear any of this stuff. Yeah. No, they don't spread around. If you are conservative, you are exposed to the left because, as I tell people all the time, they go, well, everyone's hived off. There's Fox people over there and CNN. I go, CNN is on the television of every monitor in the airport. Yeah. So what do you mean you never see CNN? I go to the airport, I sit down at the bar, I stare at CNN. That's it. I'd like them to change it, but they don't. So what do you mean? No, I know everything they're saying. They've never heard of any of this other shit. Yeah. That's what it is.
It's an echo chamber that
the late great. He's on with Amy Klobuchar's a dope. Yeah, she's great. Her little tactic is fun. I love everyone's sort of lying in real time. But Rob Reiner, who I adore, is now, listen to what he says here.
They were talking about Hunter Biden's laptop, which was a story, and now all the mainstream press has finally admitted it was a real story. It was a real laptop with. Now, look, let's not pussyfoot around this. He was selling the influence of his father, Joe Biden. I mean, let's not pretend that at least wasn't going on. I mean, some guy from China gave him after a dinner an $80,000 diamond after dinner, as one does.
Yeah.
If you're Naomi Campbell, but it doesn't usually happen. Okay, so Hunter Biden's laptop was buried by the press. Even the head of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, said that was a mistake. Sam Harris says it was appropriate for Twitter and the heads of big tech and the heads of journalistic organizations to feel that they were in the presence of something that is a once-in-a-lifetime moral emergency, meaning Trump. So he's saying it's okay to have a conspiracy to get rid of somebody as bad as Trump. It's a little bit of a thorny question because once you go down this road, this is sort of where we are in this country. The other side is so evil, anything is justified in preventing them from taking office. Is it?
No. You know what's not justified? Using armed violence to try to kill people in the Capitol.
Okay, that's all right. So change the subject. Nobody was armed. No one tried to kill anybody. Well, somebody got killed.
Yeah.
But no, this is not the right. You can play the clip out. It's not the one we have in our computer. But go ahead.
You get the point, though. It's they.
No,
he's
there's
not
a part he
exposed to
doesn't
it, yeah.
know. You'll see it. I don't know where. You can play this one out.
But in his own political echo chamber, it's more than just, you're saying it's more than just a political echo chamber. They're saying when they hear the news, they don't hear it. They can't imagine it.
Many people on the left who I speak to have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When you bring up subjects or names or something.
Evidence.
Evidence. Like you bring stuff up. They don't know, and they think you got that because Sean Hannity sent you a text or something like that.
Is it the same thing as the people taking advantage of the very vulnerable, gullible people in Minnesota, the Somalians taking advantage? I think the Democratic Party is taking advantage of these gullible people as well.
I agree.
It's the same thing.
Where is that clip there, Dawson? It's driving me nuts because we used to have it. We played it on our computer.
I can't wait for the press to start washing down the idea of this new shooter trying to break into a school in Michigan. They're going to water that down, and they're not going to say that was an Islamic terrorist. His name, of course, is Muhammad.
Here we go, sir.
This road. This is sort of where we are in this country. The other side is so evil, anything is justified in preventing them from taking office. Is it?
No. You know what's not justified? Using armed violence to try to kill people in the Capitol. That's not justified.
Answer this question.
Huh?
Answer this question.
What is
was
the
it
question?
appropriate? The question is,
Was
was
the
it
press?
appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden?
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't
but
follow
I'm
this.
saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Well, then you would know about this.
I do know about that.
Well, you're acting like you know.
I do know about that, and I do watch Fox. But the point is, we're going to prove now that the press tried to.
They're admitting it.
The press is admitting it.
Yes, that's not even an issue anymore.
It's so
All right,
sweet.
pause. He's great, but he doesn't know. He doesn't.
He genuinely doesn't.
And he doesn't watch Fox.
But the fact of the matter is, he's a really sweet guy, a good guy, and well-intentioned, but ignorant on basic facts that have been discovered.
I know many sweet, well-intentioned guys that somehow distance themselves from facts and information, and it's a weird impulse.
Well, what happened, though, I really think that there was such a revulsion from Trump being elected. And then I was in an elevator with Donald Trump and with Alec Baldwin. And, at the 2014, it was the 40th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. They seemed to be getting along fine. And before he was told by the Democratic, intelligentsia to hate this person because he's in the wrong party. The revulsion that the Democratic intelligentsia, because they were so convinced it was a given that Hillary Clinton was going to be president. The idea of it was so an anathema to their dignity, to everything that they stood for, that they still are violently, revolting against that concept. And I really think that's like a place of absolute irrationality that they're still stuck in and clinging to. And I don't know what's going to take to get them out of it.
I don't know, because they're not results oriented. You know what I mean? Like, you can close the border and lower crime, and you can lower taxes, and you can stop inflation or whatever. It doesn't matter. But it's sort of anybody who's been in a tough relationship, and you know what I'm talking about. So here's an interesting thing, and I do think it's relevant.
How so?
Well, when you're in a relationship and your wife is building a case against you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They build that case. And all the luxury cars and vacation homes and trips to Maui with the kids that cost $20,000 for a week at a resort.
It's not included in that.
It never. It's a scale. It's a scale.
Yeah.
And they come into the den, and it's the seventh game of the World Series, and we're in extra innings, and they come into your den and they go, Rob, and you go, shh, quiet. You put your hand up and they walk back. Okay, that they remember. Going to fucking Maui for $23,000 and staying in a suite. That's hanging out on Howie Mandel's catamaran for the day. That's out the window. That never makes it onto the scale. The time you put your hand up and tell them to shush because the guy's about to throw a pitch in the 13th inning, that they take to the grave. And it never makes it to the scale.
Yeah.
And all the houses and all the cars and all the private schools and all the vacations and all that does not make him, because you are a bad dude, and we have a case to make against you. Yeah. And so when they have a case to make against
the selective choices to make the case, yes.
It's not even that. They can take good and convert it. You know what I mean? Like whatever, oh, sure, border crossings are at 0, but what about that one kid in the cage and the kid in the Yoda jammies they took a picture of crying?
Yeah, but that was under Obama. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Like, it's literally when a woman...
Stop talking about what actually happened.
When a woman is making a case, there is no bounds to it. And they have a thing with Trump. Now, you'll see a guy like Fetterman. He doesn't do it. He goes...
the part of his brain that's damaged is the Democratic part.
Right. He goes, well, I don't agree with him on this, but I do agree on that. Yeah. Like, that's what you would do with COVID. You'd go, I don't know, maybe it came from a wet market, maybe it came from a lab.
Yeah.
But I know it came from a wet market, it never came from a lab, and you have to be deplatformed means something's wrong with you now. And that's where they're at.
Yeah.
No,
there's no give. I mean, like, just seeing Charlie Kirk, they're showing all the clips now, seeing him, and just the fact that, I don't want to discuss with you. You're automatically a racist, and you're with no proof provided, of course. Right. You're automatically, you hate trans people. It's like, no, but can we discuss it? Can you come and at least, or no, we're going to prevent you from talking.
Right.
That's the form of debate that the Democratic Party and the liberal intelligentsia, the leftists, are providing for us.
Well, by the way, I argue all the time. It's kind of a tell that you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'll give you an example. Guys written a story about me, a long article about me. And I don't know that much about it, but he does these things on Norm Macdonald, and he does U2, the band, and stuff like that. And for some reason, he thought he should do something on me. Mm-hmm. And so I was talking to him, and, he's going, well, you and your stance and how you are, and your takes on COVID and stuff like that. Obviously, that's probably not made you real popular in Hollywood. Yeah. And I said, yeah, I've have a few parties I've been invited to. And he said, well, who are some of the people and what are some of the situations? And I said, well, I used to go to Phil Rosenthal's house for pizza parties, but I'm no longer invited to the pizza party. And, David Allen Greer used to be best friends with him, but he sort of called me a white supremacist or whatever he called me.
Yeah.
And there's like Mark Maron would talk shit about me on stage and stuff. So it's like there's people, probably not a fan of my politics, and I don't talk to them anymore. And I formally... had a decent relationship with them, and they don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
So when he's writing the story, I just learned this yesterday, he goes around and he goes, well, who would be interesting to talk about you? And I said, well, you want to talk to Kimmel? All right, talk to Kimmel. He talks to Kimmel. He says, who else would be it? Mike August is pushing this stuff. He goes, well, can we talk to Kevin Costner? I go, I don't know. I'm not bug Kevin Costner. Yeah, okay. Kevin Costner's happy. I talked to him for an hour. Happy to talk to him. Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin gets on, talks to the guy for an hour.
None of those guys ended up in the article, right?
Judd Apatow, the article hasn't come out yet, but Judd Apatow talks to him. He gets Bill Simmons talks to him. He gets everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Then he says to me, I tried to put a call into David Allen Greer and Phil Rosenthal, and Mark Maron, none of them would talk to me. And the answer, now, it's not because they're pissed, it's because they're wrong. They're embarrassed. What they did is shameful.
Yeah,
and they can't fucking defend it, so they're being cowards now, and they're not going to talk to him.
And they can't defend it, and they won't defend it, so they just ignore that it happened.
Right.
It's just a death by ignorance.
You guys were all fucking wrong about everything, especially COVID. You punished me for being right, and now you're too cowardly to talk to a reporter.
No, they're all pussies. I mean, ultimately they are, and it's a shame. And there are liberals that I get along with and that are fine. And I don't even want to label them. It's just these are Americans, or some of them that I've completely disagreed with before, but you can have communication and talk to them, and you get them out of that thing. Just like Rob Reiner, if he sat here, he'd be the greatest, funnest guy to hang out with.
Sweet, and he's a great guy.
And then Jim Jeffries is. I just talked to him yesterday. He's the sweetest, loveliest guy. He used to be a hardcore lefty. He's come, I wouldn't say he's come over to being conservative, but he understands and has conversations as a normal guy and can admit the truth.
Yes.
And that's important. Do you want to live a life where you can admit the truth? Or can you admit where you're wrong? Or are you going to just stay? It seems like to be part of the liberal Hollywood, you have to maintain the lie. And that's like the Judd Apatows of the world, in my opinion. He just won't come around to, for instance, he's doing a Norm Macdonald documentary, not talking to me. He's been in every movie, everything I did. The most fun role he ever had, he said, was in one of my movies. And, the fact that... Norm Macdonald, yeah. Yes. And the fact that he wouldn't even call me, he called and said, you had any pictures? He said, pictures? You have any cool pictures of Norm? I wanted to say, okay, you want a picture, but you don't want to hear any stories. Because, Norm absolutely was the most hilarious and would call out the bullshit on the Democratic side. And he didn't want to hear those stories, of course, because he's the same thing. He doesn't want to hear anything that could go against that liberal intelligentsia that could, stop him from being invited to one of those parties you're talking about.
Wood-fired pizza, man. I miss it.
I know. Those parties are fun. And believe me, supermodels are not conservative. So, sure, it's more fun to be in that party. For sure. 100%.
Well, speaking of douchebags, Trevor Noah.
Yeah, this guy is another just complete piece of shit. This guy.
I file these guys under the Ilhan Omars of the world, which is this country saved your ass.
Yeah, exactly.
And Charlize Theron. We saved you, and then you come over here and you just call us racist, basically, which is awesome.
You live your dreams. You become rich because of this incredible opportunity that this nation of freedom, this great experiment in freedom has provided you, and you pay us back by shitting on us.
Right.
And that's why Trevor Noah is just a complete piece of shit.
And not fucking very funny. I've seen his stand-up.
He's never made me laugh one, and even liberals got sick of him on his own show, on The Daily Show, and they canceled the show because even them said, you know what, it's not funny enough. We're not, even the pandering that he did was unsuccessful.
He's going to speak out on the trans in sports subject.
Which he's an expert in.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, if a skinny ass man is allowed to be a boxer, a man who weighs less than a bag of cement is allowed to be a professional boxer, a man that I can pick up and throw to the other side of the room. He'll beat me in a fight, boxing, but I can lift him. If that person gets accommodated, why can we not accommodate a trans woman?
What kind of logic is that?
I don't fucking know.
What kind of fucking logic is that? First of all, if you could pick him up and throw him, you wouldn't be in the ring with him because you guys are a different weight category. What the fuck is that? I don't even understand.
I was trying to break down what he meant. Super funny comedian, Trevor Noah. And I realized he's basically, I think what he's saying, and you tell me, and you guys, Dawson, Andrew, I think what he's kind of saying is I could pick up this flyweight and throw him across the ring, but he would fight another flyweight. They have weight divisions. He's not going to go against Ken Norton. He's going to go with someone who's equal to him. But you want to know what? Here's my answer, Trevor Noah. an average woman might weigh 135 pounds.
Yeah.
Roberto Duran started his career as a lightweight, 135 pounder.
Yeah.
So you think that woman, who is a boxer, could handle Roberto Duran when Roberto Duran was 23 years old? I don't.
Yeah.
That's my argument. My argument is Roberto Duran starts off lightweight 135, wins the belt at lightweight before he moves up a couple of weight divisions. But Hands of Stone would take out Hands of Massengale. Is there a woman, 135-pound woman on the planet that Roberto Duran would not destroy at 135 fucking pounds? That's the point.
No, what he's saying is, can we accommodate a skinny man beating up a woman? That's what the point of the matter is. This is a skinny man. Can we let him beat up women in a ring with a referee? It's like, it's so, he knows he's lying.
I guess.
He knows that it's the gymnastics the logical gymnastics that he's having to accomplish there is not even making sense for him. And he's trying to, can we not let men, 110-pound men, I like the way he makes the men seem, defenseless.
By the way, the Olympics, we just tried this in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And we had a dude beat up women.
Which was horrendous. I will never see the Olympic.
Ever that uppercut Roberto just threw at 135, man.
Oh, man.
He was a wrecking machine back then.
Yeah, there was one of his early fights, he fought 300 times. There was where there was a handsome guy he was fighting against, and by the end of the fight was not handsome anymore. The wife of that fighter jumped into the ring and started hitting Duran with her shoe. With her shoe, and he gave her a slight uppercut. I don't think that exists. But
all right,
it's in a famous book.
You find me a 135-pound chick that could have gone up against Roberto Duran in 1977.
Yeah.
All right, the great Rob Schneider. Let me give some plugs here.
Thank you,
I Really Love You, released on Angel. Also, a tour, Northfield, Ohio, MGM, Northfield Park, also Flint, Michigan, Capitol Theater, March 20th, March 21st. Rob, great stand-up comedian. Go check him out. Next, Rudy Pavich with the news. Yes. Bowl and Branch. You don't need all the gadgets and the apps to get better sleep. The fastest way to upgrade is by getting new sheets. Bowl and Branch signature sheets are made from the finest 100% organic cotton. They instantly make your bed feel more comfortable, breathable, and inviting. I was a little skeptical. I figured sheets couldn't make that big a difference, but now I hate sleeping without them. I feel so much better at home. When I'm touring, that's the only part I don't like. I don't got my Bowl and Branch sheets with me, and the sheets actually get softer after each wash. It is Bowl and Branch, right, Dawson?
Upgrade your sleep during Bowl and Branch's annual spring event. Take off 20% site-wide. Plus free shipping at bowlandbranch.com/ACS with code ACS. That's Bowl and Branch, BOLLANDBRANCH.com/ACS, code ACS to unlock 20% off. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Let me tell you about Chime. Chime is changing the way people bank because it's built for you, not the 1%. It's not like old banks that charge overdraft and monthly fees. They turn everyday spending into real rewards and progress. They also help you build credit history and earn up to 3% APY on savings. It's rated 5 stars by USA Today for customer service because they have real humans 24/7. It's the new way to build credit history with your own money and get rewarded every single day. I joined, and my banking has never been smoother. So I know it's going to help you as well. It's Chime, right, Dawson?
Chime is not just smarter banking, it's the most rewarding way to bank. Join the millions who are already banking fee-free today. Head to chime.com/Adam. That's chime.com/Adam. It only takes a few minutes to sign up, and Adam Carolla Show listeners can earn up to an extra $350.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and the secured Chime Visa credit card are provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. See chime.com/feesinfo. Terms apply. Limited time only. Must open the new account and complete qualifying activities to earn rewards. Advertised annual percentage yield with Chime Plus status only. Otherwise, 1% APY applies. No minimum balance required. Chime card on-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. See chime.com for details and applicable terms.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Eighth man, Tom with an H from Philly. Hey, I had a two-part question. Number one, whatever happened to the K-Rock docs? Can you talk about it? We'd love to know. And more importantly, part two, how is Dennis Prager doing? We would love to hear an update on the great Dennis Prager. We miss him. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Prager's doing better. I was told, I spoke to him not too long ago, and I was told that he was going to start doing interviews and podcasts and things like that. He's still having a mobilization problem, but he's better than he was, and K-Rock Doc is as we speak, being worked on in this building. It keeps going from one long one to like a 4-parter to a 3-parter. Mm-hmm. So it's a little in flux, but there's your update. So Rudy has the news.
Yeah, let's do it. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has consistently denied Trump's offer to send U.S. military into Mexico to fight the cartels. She is apparently proud of this. President Trump recently announced a coalition of governments from across Latin America, but Mexico says no, and they're proud of the decision. Here's what she had to say. If the flow of illegal weapons from the United States into Mexico were stopped, these groups wouldn't have access to this type of high-powered weaponry to carry out their criminal activities.
You know, there's this thing that's more prevalent in women that I keep noticing, which is they look at themselves as heroes by telling people other people don't like Trump to fuck off. But a lot of it's like progressive shit. Like during COVID, Trump sailed a Red Cross medical ship out here, and they're like, fuck you with your medical ship, get out of here. And it's like, I thought, well, aren't you the dicks that are telling us the hospitals are overrun? Like, what's and like, yeah, fuck that guy. And it kind of reminds me of all the Elon Musk stuff where it is interesting. So it's like a feminine trait. So Amazon was trying to open a hub in like AOC's area, and she was like, fuck you. You know, because they're giving them tax incentives. Sure. Also, it's this weird thing. It's this weird relationship that Democrats have with taxes, which is it's like it's their money. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to get ripped off by Amazon not paying taxes. And it's like, first up, they're not taking your money. They're paying less, but they're generating so much income that it's good for your constituents and like so many jobs. But it's not ripping you off. You know what I mean? Like if you make $1 billion and you pay 25%, it's still a shitload of money. It's not ripping off it. My secretary pays 28%. Yes, she makes $43,000. So it's a much smaller amount that you're getting from her. Let me just put it to you this way. With the amount that I will say this to the left, for the amount that Elon Musk pays in taxes, you guys can run fraudulent daycare centers and fraudulent hospice care centers in Los Angeles and Minnesota for 1,000 years. If you just do it off the money that's generated from the secretary, you can only keep the place open for like 4 days.
Yeah.
Okay? Can put it in your language.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we appreciate Trump and Elon and all those guys? So everyone loves telling Trump and Elon, women love telling Elon to fuck off and Trump to fuck off, even if it's at their own detriment. But here she is.
Qué bueno que el presidente Trump dice públicamente que cuando nos ha propuesto que entre el ejército de Estados Unidos a México hemos dicho que no. Porque es la verdad, hemos dicho que no. y orgullosamente seguimos diciendo que no. Qué bueno que el presidente Trump.
I will say also, you guys, like, whatever shithole country you're from, like, at a certain point, when you go, listen, it's not the people of wherever. It's like the drug cartels. Mm-hmm. We have so many drug cartels, and they're battling in the streets, and they've taken over the towns. Or you go to the Middle East, and you go, it's not us. It's not the fine people. It's all the terrorist organizations. You ever stop and think, why does your country have a bunch of terrorist organizations? Or why does your country have fucking drug cartels? Maybe your country's a piece of shit. You ever think about that?
Yeah. So it starts with the ground. You know, I don't look at a shit carrot and go, well, the ground was perfect. This carrot just came up the back. No, man. No. It starts at the roots. You're right. It's in that equation. It's like, yes, this Amazon facility is overrun by drug cartels and by a bunch of people who are trying to get the fuck out. And maybe she's pissed that he decided to close some borders, and now she's stuck with these goddamn criminals.
Well, here's basically the ultimate thing for any city, state, country. At some point, there is a border for everything. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, you leave Los Angeles and now you're in Orange County, or you leave this and now you leave California and now you're in Nevada. For anything, any entity, there's a kind of a line and a demarcation line. Mexico, are people in the United States attempting to get into your country? Or are your people welding themselves into truck fenders to try to get into our country? And the answer is everyone's trying to get here and no one's trying to get there. Then why? Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's not like people are killing themselves in Canada trying to get to the United States. So what's so different about your country and Gavin Newsom if everyone is leaving California but no one is coming to California? Why? Because you can talk about tax code or test scores. You can talk about drug cartels. You can talk about poutine. You can talk about the Montreal Canadiens. You can talk about anything you want, but there is a bottom line. Like it's a bottom line. Like people used to go, my ex-wife used to always say to me, you know, everyone who works for you, they all hate you, which is awesome. I'd go, why don't you show up once in a while and fucking find out if someone does? But anyway, they all hate me. I go, fine. How come no one ever quits? Someone needs to quit. If you hate your boss, you fucking quit. I had a fucking guy named Jan who was my foreman when we were doing earthquake work. I hated this guy so much, even though I was getting $19 an hour, which is like, I was getting 12 normally, but I was getting like 19. I fucking couldn't take Jan Zetterberg anymore. And I was like, fuck you, Jan. I don't want to work with you anymore. Mm-hmm. And I just fucking quit. When your country's a piece of shit, you flee. When your country's good, you don't. Like everyone's like, oh, United States, oh, they invented slavery with the trailer. How come you're all coming here then? How come no one's fleeing?
Yeah.
Yes.
How come nobody has ever drank our water and shit themselves for 4 days?
Right. How come we don't have to get a bunch of shots before you come here?
Yeah.
And then, you know, and all the Somalis. Okay, Somalia's great. It's full of proud people. What are they doing here? Mm-hmm. Go back to fucking Somalia. Like, there is a bottom line. California is not run right, and people are leaving. Mexico is not run right. People are leaving. Canada's fine, so people stay there. Denmark is fine, so people stay there. Whatever that thing is, when you're not doing it right, it's a piece of shit, people flee.
Yeah, they need more poutine. That's right. That's right. Fuck yeah, they do.
All right.
LA awards $106 million to nonprofit whose lawyers hinder city's ability to clean up streets and bill, get this, $1,025 an hour. That is Garrigus money right there,
So
man.
we had to pay the homeless advocates money because we tried to get people off the streets?
Yeah, so the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles was awarded the largest share of an eye-popping $177 million tenant rights funding package approved by City Hall this week. The attorneys for this thing are actually the ones that are going to be making out the most. But meanwhile, they approved this for $177 million. Meanwhile, there's people that are going around going, hey man, I own some of these apartments and some of these complexes. People don't want to move here because there's nothing but litter and garbage and encampments in front of these places. No one wants to rent from me. And you guys are shelling out a bunch of dough to nonprofits who are charging that much, $1,025 an hour, but nothing's getting cleaned up around our facilities and where people are going to rent and live.
I was going to bed, getting angry last night, hearkening back on when Dr. Drew, I mean, let's really break this down, everybody. LA has a massive homeless problem. Nobody can deny it. It's the biggest in the United States. All right, so let's just not even be partisan here. Let's just agree on a few things. LA has a massive homeless problem that everyone can agree on. Even progressive Mayor Bass will tell you we must do something about the homeless problem, and then we start talking about the Olympics or the World Cup or whatever. Okay. So we have a massive homeless problem. Okay. Now, what drives the homeless problem is drugs and addiction. Because when you go into a shelter and these people are offered shelters, they cannot go into the shelter if they're going to do drugs. So they deny the open bed in the shelter because they want to do drugs. And I'm like, what if somebody said, and I kind of get it, like what if somebody said, hey, Rudy, Adam, after the show Saturday night, you can come up the street from the club and you can stay in our house, but my mom is there and she's Mormon and my wife's Mormon and there's just no alcohol allowed in the house, So, but you can stay for free.
Great.
I'd be like, I don't know. I like to have a drink after the show. I think I'd stay in the hotel. Yeah. Like, I'll just go and pay. You want to pay for a hotel room? Why don't you stay for free?
Yeah.
I'd like to stay for free, but I'd like to have a drink.
Yeah. Also, how'd this nerd get into our green room? Get the hell out of here.
Get the hell out of here, you Mormons. So, I get it. Like, these people are fucking hardcore drug addicts. Mm-hmm. So, they would rather do the drugs than take the bed. So, homelessness is a massive problem in LA. It's fueled by drug addicts. I defy you to find somebody who's sleeping outdoors on a fucking sidewalk with roaches and rats on a piece of cardboard that's not high, drunk, intoxicated, whatever. And I think, first off, the homeless population that are just folks that got, because the factory closed down and they got pushed out on the street, or the wife that got divorced, I think that fucking number's zero. Mm-hmm. I think that number's zero. I don't think it's like people do a thing where they go, a small percentage of them are just moms that are down on their, I think that number's zero. I've never seen it. I've traveled thousands of miles through this city. So have you. So is Dawson. I've never seen a sober mom walking around with her kids. It's all fucking junkies. It's all crazy junkies. All right. And then they go, well, but what about the people with schizophrenia and stuff? Some of it, small percentage. I think it's a small percentage. I think if anyone really got to the bottom of this, what percentage of people who are sleeping outdoors are not using something? Do you think there's someone who's just stone cold sober who just goes to bed that night?
Yeah, zero.
I don't think it exists. So drugs and addiction is driving this problem. It is the cause of the problem. And 5 years ago, Dr. Drew, who's an addiction medicine specialist, who's been specializing in that field for about 40 years, said to the LA City Council, you do not have anybody in this homeless task force that's an addiction medicine specialist, yet addiction is the number one problem that you guys have to solve. So that sort of sounds insane. It'd be like saying if the biggest problem with the homeless is not enough inexpensive housing, but nobody on the board had any building experience, no architecture experience, no engineering experience. That would be kind of dumb because you're all just in the dark now. So the city council has nobody who has addiction medicine expertise of any kind, just a bunch of dumb fucking yentas. And Dr. Drew says, I will volunteer my services to work with you to address this problem. And they tell him to go pound sand. They go fuck off.
Yeah.
So would one then assume that they were interested in solving this problem? This is, by the way, like Scheinbaum telling Trump to fuck off. Anybody with any field of expertise, hey, white guy, fuck off.
Yeah.
A white guy who knows a whole bunch of shit and might be able to impact your problem, yeah, you can fuck off too. Which means, A, they're not that interested in solving the problem, but B, they get paid no matter what, because if you got paid based on performance, you'd be dying for that guy to volunteer his information. There's a Times article written by some crazy yenta about 5 years ago that attacked Drew for volunteering to help the homeless with addiction.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Absolutely.
So that's all chick think. Sorry. It's all fucking chick think, and we're screwed. And guess what? I hope you're sitting down, but since 5 years ago when Drew offered to volunteer his time, the homeless problem's gotten worse.
Yeah.
Much worse in the last 5 years with much more addiction. Dr. Drew eyed for Homeless Commission angers advocates.
Yeah.
He angered at the advocates, the advocates who get paid. By the way, Dawson. Drew angered the people who are in charge of spending the $24 billion that we've wasted on homelessness. He angered those advocates who make their bones with homeless people, not getting homeless people off the street. So when a disruptor like Drew shows up, they want him to fuck out. So
if I was making money and somebody said something that means I wasn't going to make money, I'd be mad at him too.
You've
I'd be angered.
Embezzling from the company. You and your 5 friends have been embezzling from the company for 20 years. I announced good news. I got an auditor. We can come in and go ahead and audit these books. And then you and your 5 buddies take a vote and tell them to get the fuck out. But the super retard from the Los Angeles Times takes your side. That's the crazy part. The bitch at the Times who's not even getting paid is advocating to get Drew out of there.
Yeah. And it's got nothing to do with anything else other than you're on the other side of the aisle, so go fuck right off.
Oh, by the way, you know what I love about the old articles? It's a controversial stance on COVID. You mean shit we were right about? And you guys never apologized?
Yeah.
That stance?
Yeah.
That controversial one?
Yeah.
It's like my controversial stance of, I thought we should have killed Hitler before World War II. It's like saying that's my stance and then no one ever apologized to you.
It's like when I see sports fans getting angry at each other, like, fuck the Eagles fans. These guys are dickheads. I'm like, if you're hanging off the side of a cliff and you're about to fall, but a guy's got an Eagles jersey on and he reaches down to pick you up and help you, would you go, sorry, bro, I fucking hate Philly. You go ahead and let me drop. No, of course not. And that's what Mexico and that's what California's in with the cartels and with the homeless. You got people with resources that can help you out, but because they decide to walk with another group of people, you go, you know what, just pound sand, get the hell out of here. I don't piss off.
You know what happened? You'd be hanging off that cliff. The Eagles guy would show up, like Andrew's a big Eagles guy.
Yeah.
Then he'd reach out and he'd go, wait a minute, are you an Eagles fan? And you'd go, I'm a Ravens fan. And he'd kick your hand and you'd go sailing down the cliff and he'd yell, fly, Eagles, fly. And then he'd laugh.
And then he'd throw a beer bottle at Santa Claus, you son of a bitch.
That's right. All right. Next story.
All right. BBC says deep wound stab kits are now recommended on London buses for some strange, unstated reason. Weird how these things suddenly just pop up in a country that pioneered public transportation.
Yeah. Listen, oh God, it's so fucking sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Islamists stabbing people on public transportation.
Yeah. Like you say, like the barbed wire around the signs so they can
freeway
keep
signs.
Yeah, the freeway signs. Yeah, that is a sign that your city is in shambles.
So let me just say something to everybody. Like, there are moments when you if you have a daughter, I have a daughter, you know what I mean? And then you said, oh, Adam, my daughter's going to come stay at your house for a little while. while we're out on the road, and I went, okay. And then you said, you don't have nail polish remover around the house, do you? And I went, huh? Maybe. Oh, she'll drink that. Yeah, we gotta get rid of that. I would argue that instead of burning calories hiding the nail polish remover, bigger questions should be asked. Like, why is your daughter so bad off that she's drinking nail polish remover? And I would say the same. I said it a million times. When we start putting the barbed wire around the freeway signs in L.A., we should have asked ourselves, where are we going as a city? By the way, we've gotten much worse. And then we get into these conversations about, well, we can't have lights up on the 6th Street Bridge because guys come and steal the copper. So we won't be able to reinstall the wiring until we can harden it. Like, the fact that we need to harden things, you know, the fact that every gas station needs to have 4 inches of bulletproof glass and you got to talk to a guy through the fucking drawer. Sure. The fact that you can't go to the CVS and get cartridges for your razors or shampoo without someone with a set of keys to unlock it from a cage. And the fact that we need deep stabbing kits on transportation, that's a time to stop and go, what the fuck is going on? All right, so here's how I do it. Who's doing the stabbing? Like, I don't do a thing where I go, get everyone a stabbing kit. My feeling is, who's doing the stabbing? And then people go, well, we can't answer that because that's racist. I go, yes, we can answer it. We need to answer all of it. Who's doing whatever it is we don't want? Who's doing that? Yeah. Because I would like to know. And by the way, that doesn't make me racist. It makes them stabbers.
Yeah.
You understand? It means you're really good at stabbing, not I'm really good at being racist.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking asking what the problem is. I'm trying to solve the problem. Me saying black dads need to hang out and raise their kids is not me being racist. It's kind of the opposite of being racist. I'm actually trying to solve the fucking problem. You're talking about systemic racism like it's radon gas. You're never going to get to the fucking problem.
Yeah.
I'll get to the problem. Who's doing the stabbing?
Yeah. If you're at a bar with all white people, but there is a whole group at a table that are donning Hell's Angels vests, and you're looking for a table to sit at, where are you going to sit? Probably not next to the dudes who are donning the Hell's Angels vest. So yeah, you do a little bit of profiling. It's what you're supposed to do. It's in our human nature to stay safe.
Yes. So why the necessity? There's some good tweets, Andrew says on this one. Why the necessity for these stabbing kits? And by the way, you know who was a bus driver back in the day?
Tell me. Otto from The Simpsons.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not as good.
Yeah.
Don't run any for a second. Let me just talk to Rudy for a second. You know who drove public transportation? Ralph Cramden.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
The Honeymooners. Jackie Gleason was a bus driver in New York, right?
Yeah, bus driver by day, wife beater by night. He knew how to run a family.
He never came home and said, oh, man, a junkie took a shit in my bus today, or a crazy tranny tried to stab an elderly Asian man, or these black teens all jumped on the bus at the same time and refused to pay the fare, or some Shiite Muslim declared a jihad and tried to stab an elderly man. Nope. He just drove a bus.
Yeah.
He drove a bus, he wore a bow tie, and he just came back every day with his shirt tucked in and his bow tie on. And it'd say, like, long day at work. But there was never a story.
Yeah.
You could not make a sitcom about a guy who drove a bus today in a major metropolitan city. I guess Honeymooners was in New York. I'm guessing.
So, yeah.
Can you imagine having a guy... His vocation was a bus driver in New York City. He came back and there was never a story about someone taking a shit on the bus or stepping on a syringe or anything.
Brooklyn,
New York.
Yeah, Brooklyn, New York.
Right.
Yeah, you
never had a story about it. Wasn't a big thing. No violence. No incidents.
Yeah, you also couldn't make the show because you couldn't get the camera inside of the bulletproof case they have to lock themselves inside of to be able to drive the goddamn bus now.
The only controversy with him in the bus from an episode of The Honeymooners is like, well, black chick did try to sit up front, so I did have to
send her to the
moon. To walk her to the moon. Yes. All right, where are we?
All right. So Quentin Tarantino today fired back at Rosanna Arquette, her recent critique of Pulp Fiction, specifically for Tarantino's frequent use of the N-word. I hope the publicity you're getting from 132 different media outlets, writing your name and printing your picture was worth disrespecting me and my film. I remember quite clearly, you were thrilled to be a part of, he wrote in a statement obtained by Deadline. But after I gave you a job and you took the money to trash it for what I suspect is very cynical reasons, shows a decided lack of class, no less honor.
Yeah. Well, I don't. First off, when you do a movie, first off, any period, whatever, you get a fucking pass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they made the movie Miracle, which, with everything going on, I recommend.
Yeah, great.
All right. No black players on that hockey team. And the reason there's no black people in the movie The Miracle is because there were no black people in 1980 on the hockey team. And neither was the coach and neither was the assistant coach. So they just recreated that. Now, you can complain because there's 25 white dudes. Where's the black dude?
Mm-hmm.
But you get a pass because they didn't have a black dude on the team.
Yeah.
And that's the way it goes. And I think you should be able to do that historically. And when people threw around the N-word, whether it was Django Unchained or whatever, Pulp Fiction, if that's the way they talk, then that's the way they talk. Then tough shit, Roseanne.
Yeah. Also, I always hate when people take jobs, they take the money, and then they go back and they have a lot of shit to say about people that employed them.
You who voted for Ilhan Omar. Really? You have a problem with people who don't appreciate what you've done for them?
Yeah. You get fired from a job and somebody goes, I'm never going down to that Quiznos again, or I'm never listening to that radio station again. I'm like, yeah, but for 9 years they paid our mortgage. We brought our kids through private school, and also we bought 2 vehicles and had a trip every single year. So I know I'm getting fired and it sucks, but hey, it was nice for 9 years, wasn't it? Now let's go find something else to do. Well, I'm not going to shit on them.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and the day when you fire me because everyone in this building is completely scared of you, I'm not going to talk shit.
I think I'm an asshole. Yeah, I feel the same way. I've been let go from radio jobs and stuff like that. It's weird to get pissed. First off, they're letting you go for a reason. Oh, Andrew, it reminded me because I had this joke that it's not an on-stage joke, but it's a thing. I liked a tweet from a few days ago where it's a black guy who's getting thrown off a Spirit Airlines flight, and he's getting thrown off for being rude. And when they're trying to throw him off, he's like, "Fuck you!" And it's like, yeah, that.
Yeah.
And I always had this joke, but it's so true. Like, so many people, like the joke was, you pull a guy in your office and you just go, "Steve, sorry, it's just not working out here at the office, and we got to let you go because, some people are finding your tone to be a little disrespectful." He's like, "Go fuck yourself." And you're like, yes. Guys do that while it's like, I want to stop in the middle of stuff and go, this is why we're firing you.
Proving my point, yes.
Right. So there's this young black dude, I think he's on a Spirit flight, and he's basically being thrown off the flight because a Frontier. He's being thrown off the flight because he walked past a stewardess, and I guess it was a female, and instead of like saying "excuse me" or something like that, he's like, "move." And she felt intimidated and like unsafe, which is the new world order. Everyone feels unsafe. And so she went in and said, "Get this guy off the flight. Like, I don't want to fly with this guy because he sort of menaced me." Or something.
Yeah.
So then we pick it up from the poor guy who works at the airport having to come in and tell the young black man, "You were rude and you got to come off this flight." Here we go. Sorry.
I'm not driving. It's going to fly. You don't drive. What's that? It's going to stay on because felt threat. The flight attendant.
She felt threat.
Get out of my way. Yes.
fucking felt threatened about that?
I feel threatened right
standing
now.
down trying to get to my seat. What feel threatened about that?
You're behaving. Nobody's saying. We need you off the
What's the
beat.
threat about that? Fuck no.
Tell Jimmy to call me. Get back here, bud.
The comedy is, you can keep going, it gets better, but she felt threatened and he's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I feel threatened.
Yeah.
That's a threat.
I'm scared for that guy just watching this.
Get out of the way. Like a fuck you, douche.
Yeah.
You can't fly in an airplane.
I should have waved here if I did. Just motherfucking wave my time. I ain't threatened nobody.
Yeah. This is what
I said, get out
MLK
my
was
way.
talking about
That's
by
right.
not
Threat
color
about
of skin, but content of character.
Right.
What's the threat about that? Get out of my way. Ain't no motherfucking threat. You know what a threat is?
I'll show you the
Yeah,
threat.
I'm watching it.
Get out of it. By the way, you imagine getting on an airplane just yelling, get out of my way. Let me just say something. Can I say this for a second? Whether it's you fucking wrestling with an ice guy or getting shitty at an airport or getting in someone TSA's face or anything to do with an airplane, fucking bite your lip and shut your fucking face.
Yeah.
They will throw you out of there so fucking fast. You don't get to call an attorney or a lifeline. You're just out.
Yeah.
You're just gone.
Yeah, watched the girl get arrested on a flight to Austin one time. She was completely hammered and took not a swing, but kind of like an elbow at an officer. And she was all of 115 pounds, probably no food, drank all day at the airport. This guy was not playing. Grabbed her right by the neck, put an arm behind her. Yeah, threw her right on the ground. And people are like, why is this happening? I'm like, because she's hammered and she's making a scene in front of everybody. Well, won't shut her goddamn mouth.
Here's the thing. Go back. Yeah, go back a little bit. Look, here's the thing. When you're out in LA or you're out in New York, feel free to jump on the hood of a cop car and take a shit on the windshield and nothing will happen. When you're inside a fucking airplane, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, play it. I just love that he's threatening people because he's thrown off because he's threatening people. He's threatening.
Stand down. Come on, kids, stand down. I'm not saying fuck is you talking about. Looks like you want to do something. Do it.
See?
All right.
He's threatening the guy to have a
I
fight.
want to do something, I do.
Gotta have pride.
Yeah.
Gotta have a lot of pride when you're leaving a Frontier flight.
Yeah, $29 round trip. A lot of pride.
A lot of pride.
So this is a first for me on a flight, but that's happening.
You don't fly that much on Frontier, because I fly Frontier 4 times a month, and I'm telling you,
this is called a Wednesday.
Yeah, this is
Frontier.
par for the course. Yeah. It's funny when they always go, we'd like to offer the Frontier Airlines credit card. I'm like, do you think anybody on this flight has credit? Look around. I mean, if credit is dignity, dignity flies Delta. There's no
but
chance.
you haven't been on a date and popped that baby out.
Actually, I have, because I have one in my wallet.
That's what we call a panty dropper, Rudy.
It is.
You're fucking at Arby's. She thinks you're going Dutch, and then all of a sudden the Frontier Airlines credit card comes out.
There's nothing more.
You got the Ralph's lanyard on your keychain. She's already sized you up for a whale.
Yeah, my Costco card is stuck to the bottom of the Frontier Airline. There is nothing more embarrassing than when you go out to eat with like a bunch of people in the industry who are all, big timers. They got big Amexes, couple black cards get thrown on the table. We'll split this up. And then I literally just throw down my Frontier Airlines credit card.
I had my first credit card I got when I was like 28, Bank of Hoven. Secured. You gave them $500, they gave you $300 in credit.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't even give you the full amount.
Wow. That's unbelievable. No cosigner on this one? Probably not, huh?
If you can give them $500, they will give you $300 worth of credit card. That was the Bank of Hoven.
Yeah.
Is there a Bank of Hoven? Still, that I may have been the first person in my family to get a credit card.
Yeah. Listen, I've stepped it up in the credit card game because I'm looking through here now. There's an Amex Platinum. I got the Delta Reserve card, and I got the Marriott Bonvoy card. Ooh. So at least I'm flying decently and staying in decent places now. My goal for the year is to stay at hotels where I don't open the front door and walk into a parking lot. That's the goal for this year. And so far, I'm only at one.
Yeah.
Dallas.
I stay at ones that have the word roof and airport in them.
Don't stay in inns.
Inns.
Yeah, anything like a Days Inn, Road Inn.
Hey, let me give you this road tip.
Yeah.
I never thought of this. I'm going off to do shows in Nebraska, and we're trying to figure out where to stay. And I'm like, I don't know. Is that place nice? Is that place nice? You know what I said to my assistant? I go, what year was that place built? And she's like, this one was built in 2022. And I said, everything that's new is nice now.
Yeah.
Everything that cars that are new, like work, they're all nice. You know, like new, even cheap hotels, when they're new, they're nice.
Yeah.
So if it's one from the 60s, forget about it.
You're talking about Norfolk? They
Yeah.
put you in the best hotel room.
Oh, they do?
Oh, and it's literally 100 feet from the front door of the venue. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
I was told something different, so we're going to have to figure that out.
It's the best.
Bank of Hoven credit card commercials ready to go. I probably saw this when I was 28. Sorry. Oh, yeah.
What? Bad credit report. I couldn't get a Visa or MasterCard until I applied at the Bank of Hoven. They approved me.
And they can approve you, regardless of past credit experience,
Picture
even
me at
bankruptcy.
27 and a half,
Bank of Hoven is
sitting in
your
my
best
apartment.
chance to get a Visa or MasterCard. Operators are standing by, so call the number on your screen now. They've approved thousands and want to approve you, even if you've never had credit before. Operators are standing by. Do it now. Call today.
Oh, man.
I could get this Bank of Hoven card and then use that as a stepping stone to get a Discovery card.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. That model looked good, but it was a little bit homely.
A little bit, yeah. There was something going on there for sure.
All right, so going to be in Santa Ana. That'll be on the 22nd, doing the whole Newman car collection thing there. I think Jay Moore's going to be there, do a live pod. That'll be the Jordan Family Classic Cars. And then also coming up, the whole Nebraska run. Norfolk coming up 27th, 28th, and then Lincoln at Howler Comedy Club. That'll be the 29th. Rudy, what do you got?
This Friday, I will be in Oakdale, Minnesota, doing Next Stop Comedy. Then Saturday, Monroe, Wisconsin on the 21st. The 27th, Lowertown, St. Paul at Gambit Brewing, one of the best rooms. And then March 29th, I'll be in Lincoln with you.
So, until next time, this is Adam Carolla. For everyone who's been here saying mahalo.